Broadcasting live from atop the Rocky Mountains, the crossroads of the West. You are listening to the Liberty RoundTable Radio Talk Show.
Wacky weather, the Straits of Hormuz, war continues, gas prices out of control. Man, it's all going on. Liberty RoundTable Live. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sam Bushman with news the networks refuse to use. First off, a Liberty RoundTable Live announcement. We have changed the radio program from 2 hours daily to 1 hour daily. And you say, why, Sam, would you shorten the show? There's too much information that needs to be discussed. You're right on all counts. There is too much information that needs to be discussed, but I'm in the media for quite some time, 30 plus years now, folks. And I'm telling you that things change in the media. You know, back in the day when I started, 3-hour talk shows were the norm. And for a long time, I did a 2-hour show. Then there was so much news, I moved it to a 3-hour show. And then there was so much news, I felt like, man, we got to make it a 4-hour show. And then I thought, you know what? That's insane. That's not really sustainable or doable. And so I dropped it from 3-hour show to a 2-hour show. It's been a 2-hour show ever since. But you know what? Things are changing now. People don't listen to the radio as much. Or even if they do, they can only listen to part of the program while they're in their car. And so the question becomes how much, even if you have valiant, stable listeners that love the show, how many of them stay for the second hour? There's usually a 30 to 40% drop off from the first hour to the second hour. And times are changing. Now the media is, everything is shorter. Everything is faster. Podcasting, radio, video, everything is shorter and quicker. And so we're adapting to the times, if you will. And I'm saying, hey, we can shorten the show. Instead of covering so many stories, we can cover the most important stories. Instead of long-form commentary, we can speed up the commentary. And we can still deliver it all to you in 1 hour instead of 2. We can also then repurpose more of our content to video. If I do an interview, hey, leave it in the hour released show, but cut out the interview and let people watch just the interview. Instead of one short, we'll make 2, 3, 4, 5 shorts for the show. And so if we repurpose more of the content, use it wisely, it makes more sense in the media. It also frees up time for me to work with certain people and start doing unique video series on a bunch of different topics that I've never been able to get to, but I've wanted to big time. So it is the shortened ecosystem that we live in when it comes to radio, video, audio, podcasting. The terms are all getting mixed up, right? As well. So now we do a video podcast and a radio show mixed together. The radio show's live. Those who love the radio can get it all first. And then it'll be video, post-edited, highly produced. Anyway, hopefully it'll be great stuff. So Liberty RoundTable Live now, a 1-hour daily show instead of 2 hours. Hopefully it'll be better for everyone. I would love your feedback, by the way. LibertyRoundTable@gmail.com. I'd love to hear what you have to think about it. LibertyRoundTable@gmail.com. Let me give you a little more context for this change. More Americans are listening to podcasts every month than ever before. That's according to what this thing called the whatever dial. It's a 2026 Edison Research study. They call it the infinite dial, if you will. And dial, I guess, comes from the old times of radio. I don't know. Anyway, interesting. They say with research from Support, SiriusXM Media participated in this thing. It was released. It was co-presented by the VP, Megan Lazovic, I think is how you say it, and their editor of Pod News, James Crislin. A very interesting study, I might add. It shows the significant growth of online audio for Americans age 55 plus. So the older people are doing radio still, but they're moving to online. Again, when it's online, it's got to be shorter, folks. It just does. That's very fascinating. I thought I'd bring that to you. They're just saying, hey, podcasts are going video. Podcasts are getting shorter. Podcasts don't have to worry about radio length so much. So see, I'll do the 1 hour radio show. Then I'll be able to do a great interview that, hey, it doesn't matter if the length is different. I can release the radio show. the video version of that show, and then release the interview. I mean, it's going to be great content. We're thinking it's the solution. Now, there's also a group in Seattle. They do a show called Talking Real Money. It goes podcast only now. So I'm not doing that. I'm still on the radio, but they're going podcast only. That's according to talkers.com. The Seattle Financial Talk program, Talking Real Money. I guess it's Todd Koch and Don McDonald or whatever. They're doing this show, and they just say, hey, we've really been grateful to be on radio with you on the AM/FM dial, but you know what? We love being on the radio, but now it's all about podcasts. Listen to this interesting statement they make. But the podcast format is the future of broadcast audio in the same way streaming is the future of television. Isn't that an interesting statement? They say our podcast is the same show, the same conversations, the same advice, but our listeners can join anywhere, anytime, not just at noon on Saturday or Sunday. Right? Think about that. Interesting statement, right? Well, things are getting a little more crazy too. If you have a license in radio, a license in television, look out, baby. That's right. FCC Chairman Brandon Carr threatened to revoke broadcasters' licenses over coverage regarding the Iran war, following President Trump's claims that news outlets are peddling fake news. Yeah, he says that they're not giving the right information to the public about the conflict. Trump criticized major publications, including the Wall Street Journal, stating that there's inaccuracies in their reporting on the damage done to some of the U.S. force aircraft in Saudi Arabia. Carr, that's Mr. Carr, warned that the FCC would consider news coverage as they grant license renewals, emphasizing that broadcasters must operate in the public interest. Adam Terr, he's of the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, along with several congressmen and senators, they're saying, hey, you know what? This is unconstitutional. It's a form of government censorship. And see, I agree with them. Shame on Donald Trump for this. Because fake news to one group is real news to another group. I don't really like the chilling effect government has had. Everybody criticized Joe Biden and company for attacking groups who were friendly to Donald Trump and told the Donald Trump side of the story instead of the Joe Biden side. All those people applauded those who followed Trump and told the Trump side of the story, and they were the good guys then, but according to Biden, they were the bad guys, and they were monitored and controlled and manipulated and everything else, right? Well, now the shoe's on the other foot, and so now Trump is starting to threaten late-night TV hosts, comedians. I disagree with most of what they say, but I think they have the right to say it. This is America, folks. Well, now you've got broadcasters that when you hear Brendan Carr of the FCC, along with Donald Trump and others saying, hey, you better report the news the way we see it. Because if you don't, when we renew your licenses, you're going to be in trouble. That's a very chilling threat that I'm not comfortable with, no matter what side of the aisle it comes from. Okay? But if you're on the internet and you do a podcast, you don't have a license for them to threaten. Now, they might deplatform you and go back to the Biden days. I pray that doesn't happen, but that's something very serious to concern yourself with. Something to really, really think about. Now Trump and company is threatening licenses for radio and TV station renewals, and they're saying, hey, you better get the news right. What does you better get the news right mean? You better not peddle fake news. What does that mean? So let me give you an example to see what you think about this. What if I report something not too flattering? What if I say that TSA delays are a big problem? People are standing in airport lines and everything else for hours. Flights are being missed by people left and right. TSA delays expose Washington's blame game over DHS funding. Yeah, the Department of Homeland Security was created in 2022. Yeah, it was bipartisan legislation that was signed by then President George W. Bush, right? So the Republicans really created the TSA. It used to be a bunch of other government departments all, separate. Then they merged it all into the big old behemoth, the TSA. Today, Republicans and Democrats blame each other over funding disputes while travelers deal with long TSA lines, airport delays, et cetera, et cetera. If both parties helped create the DHS, then why does the blame game begin every time Congress has to fund it? Great question, huh? From a constitutional perspective, maybe the bigger question is this. Do we really need a massive, bloated government department? Or should we be asking whether the government grows faster than accountability does, huh? We'll talk about it more in seconds. You're watching and listening to Liberty Roundtable Live.
If Planned Parenthood were what they publicly declare themselves to be, they would welcome transparency. We all know why they hide, because we know what they hide. We can confirm federal judges who follow the Constitution rather than reverse engineer their preferred policy outcomes. The truth about abortion is spreading because of advances in medical imaging, because of brave journalists, tireless activists, compassionate doctors, nurses, and other healthcare professionals. The rising generation of young Americans is the most pro-life in decades because they know too. And one day soon, we will reaffirm our nation's principles in their dignified fullness and avow once again that all men are created equal. All are entitled to life.
This is a battle between truth and deceit, a battle between forces that would enslave this country in darkness and between a media that wants to present you with the truth. We are being censored. America's news outlets no longer provide the truth. 90% of news outlets in the United States are controlled by 6 corporations. The mission of the Epoch Times is to chase the truth, to ground all statements in fact.
TheEpochTimes.com.
Looking for an IT partner that truly understands your needs? Managed IT Services is the answer. We meet with you regularly to discuss your goals and form a tailored technology plan. Our customers have called us a trusted advisor who delivers. When it comes to IT, we do it all. Firewalls, cloud storage, server migration, and more. Say goodbye to long-term contracts and hello to a team that earns your business month after month. Call 801-706-6980 now and let Managed IT Services transform your IT experience.
All right, DHS, as you know, is kind of shut down right now because of the funding problem. But it's Washington's blame game over the funding that's interesting to me. Yeah, it was created in 2022 after the 9/11 attacks by both parties, signed by George Bush. The Republicans really made it happen. Today, Republicans and Democrats blame each other over funding disputes while the government's DHS is shut down. Right? Travelers end up dealing with long TSA lines and everything else. We're the ones that suffer. If both parties helped DHS, then why does the blame game begin every time they want to fund it? From a constitutional perspective, folks, maybe the question is, do we really need another massive bloated bureaucracy? Seems like to me government's growing way beyond its accountability. When both parties helped build the system, can either party really, honestly, claim the other one is solely responsible for the funding? Republicans are like, yeah, because the Democrats, we can't fund it. Wait a minute, aren't the Republicans in charge of the House and the Senate? Yeah, but we don't have a super majority, so they can shut us down. Maybe the answer, folks, is for the American people to demand the end of parties altogether. Let me say that again. Maybe the answer is for the American people to demand the end of parties altogether. Right? Here's the problem. Washington argues, the bureaucracy grows, and the American people end up paying the price. Isn't that what's happening? Remember, folks, our founding fathers warned against parties in the first place. Think about all that, and think about that's where we are, right? And sadly, if you want to go on a plane right now, you're going to have long TSA lines. You better get to the airport way early. And I don't see a solution to this anytime soon. But here's the question. If I report it like that and say we ought to get rid of parties, and I say, hey, why do we have the blame game between Democrats and Republicans? Why are each blaming the other? And I say, hey, they both created it. Why are they arguing about funding it? And hey, maybe we shouldn't have such a massive bureaucracy in the first place. Is that fake news? Would I get my license yanked over that? Good question, huh? By the Democrats or the Republicans. So Biden did it. Now Trump's doing it. Wow, they're doing the same thing. Violating our right to free speech. Violating our right to analyze things as we see. What is fake news? Is fake news news the government doesn't want you to tell? I mean, my buddies over at the Big Mig, Lance and George, say, hey, you know what? Liberty is telling people things they don't want to hear. To some degree, that's true. All right, well, here's the next story. Trump demands nations dependent on the Strait of Hormuz to help secure the vital oil route. All right, so Trump wants all these nations that depend on the Straits of Hormuz to go ahead and help protect it. On March 15th, so yesterday on Sunday, President Trump told reporters that he's demanding that roughly 7 countries get involved. Yeah, they got to help secure the critical lane. He didn't name which countries, by the way. But here's my question. These countries are hesitant. They don't really want to be involved. Well, here's the question that I have then. So, yes, the Strait of Hormuz is depended on by a lot of people, a lot of countries. It's a massive oil route. They say it represents about 20% of the world's oil usage or energy usage. But here's the problem. Yes, these countries depend on it. But would the Strait of Hormuz be open if Trump didn't attack Iran? And if it's true that it's because Trump attacked Iran that it's closed, so because Trump attacked Iran, now all countries have to get involved? Wow, that's the pretext that got us into World War II in the first place, right? Anyway, the thought process surrounding this, in my humble opinion, is chilling. Yeah, Trump attacks Iran, claims they were going to attack first without producing any evidence of such. Then the Straits of Hormuz gets shut down, and now we need oil, and it's spiking prices all around the world. And then Trump says to all the other nations, hey, now that we're at war and the Strait of Hormuz is closed, you got to help protect it so we can open it up again. Now Trump was supposed to meet with the Chinese president, and he's probably going to delay that to see if China will help open the Straits of Hormuz. The problem is, I thought this wasn't really a war over Iran. It was the war regarding the bad actors backing Iran. Wasn't that primarily China? Isn't that what everybody told me? Well, then now we're going to go ahead and sit down with China and say, can you open the Straits of Hormuz? You think they're going to do it? They might publicly say they'll do it. What gives? We're in a big problem, folks, right now. A big struggle defining what this war really is, defining the timelines and the objectives, right? They've stated objectives. We don't want Iran to get a nuke. But hey, last June, I thought we prevented that for years. Right? Oh, well, Iran is backed by bad actors. Okay, who? Oh, well, China and Russia. And well, we just now changed our sanctions on Russia, and we're now allowing them to sell oil on the open market. Oh, it's only temporary. We had to take a step back. Now, if I bring all this up, am I peddling fake news? See, they'd yank my license, wouldn't they? See, the poor radio stations don't dare air my program either, because what if they get their license yanked? Do you see the chilling effect that's happening here? Free speech is going to be the casualty of modern administrations from both sides of the aisle. I wish it wasn't true, but I'm telling you that it is. Would I be allowed to say that, or would I be deplatformed and lose my licenses and such? It's a fair question, isn't it? All right, the U.S. now is sending more Marines. So on one hand, Trump said, hey, we've won the fight. The war's virtually over. We've shut down the Iranians. But now the headline says the U.S. is sending more Marines and more warships to the Middle East amid escalating tensions with Iran. That's what U.S. officials on Friday said. Well, that is the opposite of what Trump is saying. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth authorized the deployment, including parts of, what do they call this thing? An amphibious ready group. Yeah. With about 5,000 Marines. Whoa. And sailors. Oh, wow. I don't know why we're doing that. I guess is that to protect the Straits of Hormuz? I thought we already decimated the Iran's Navy. So we need to bring our Navy and Marines in there. The Japan-based amphibious assault ship, it's called the USS EEE, contains these Marines, and they're moving towards the area as we speak. The deployment is responding to Iranians and their threats on the Straits of Hormuz. So we're building up to protect that. But they say the Straits of Hormuz are very difficult to defend because there might be sea mines, there might be, shoulder fire missiles and stuff like that. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that U.S. Navy vessels could escort these ships. So now we got our Navy involved, our Marines involved, more people on the ground. They say the Pentagon plans to neutralize Iranian anti-ship missiles before starting the escorts. Now listen to this. They're adding approximately 2,500 Marines to the existing force of up to 50,000 in the region, and they're adding 3 more warships. The Marine Expedition Air Units involved are also capable of disaster relief and civilian evacuation operations. The composition of the EEE expedition, I guess the USS Robert Smalls is involved, and the guided missile destroyers involved. There's no clear indication if a ground operation is actually planned or if some of these extra Marine groups will be deployed. I look at that and I go, whoa, is that we've already won? I don't think so. We've already got 50,000 American troops over there. We're adding warships. We're bringing more people over there. Is that a de-escalation or an escalation? In my opinion, it's a massive escalation. But we're already 3 weeks into this thing, and Trump, well, almost 3 weeks, and Trump says we're supposed to be done in 3 to 4 weeks. But if you're really moving those ships over there and the Straits of Hormuz is currently closed, how likely is it that we're out in a week or two? I don't think we're getting the true news. Aren't we getting fake news? Aren't we getting conflicting news at best? I don't even know how to respond to that, but there you go. Now, I'm not the only one that feels this way. As far as I've been told, J.D. Vance is concerned about this war, concerned about us winning. He's concerned about his opportunity to become president in 2028. And so there's this kind of behind-the-scenes break between Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. But don't worry, we're told J.D. Vance is standing with the president. There's no real big rift. But J.D. Vance is concerned. Well, I agree with J.D. Vance's concerns. Now, there's an on-camera event. It was a congressional hearing. The guy's name is Brian McGinnis. I guess he was involved in this U.S. Senate hearing. He got his arm injured as they kicked him out. They just literally forced him out of the proceedings. You want to know why? Because he said Marines don't want to die going to Iraq. They don't want to die for Israel. We're going to show that and talk about it in seconds. You're listening to and watching the updated, faster-paced, news the networks refuse to use oriented Liberty Roundtable Live.
How would you like to help this program reach more people and earn silver at the same time? Call or text 801-669-2211 for complete details.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. Much of the country is dealing with or bracing for severe weather.
96 million people from Florida to Maine risk severe storms Monday. Already over the weekend, a broad and erratic patchwork of severe weather rumbling across much of the U.S., dumping heavy snow in the upper Midwest, where snowplow driver Aaron Haas, working the roads of Wisconsin, says he's not seen it this bad in a long time.
I'm looking at a pile in front of my truck right now that is as tall as the roof of my truck that I stacked.
National Weather Service meteorologist Mark Chenard says winter is sticking around for a while.
There will be a shot of cold air across much of the eastern half of the country for the next few days.
I'm Julie Walker.
In the Middle East, flights at the airport in Dubai have been interrupted several times, including today, because of Iranian drone strikes.
Dubai International Airport is a major transport hub, the busiest in the world for international passengers. It handled about nearly 90 million passengers in 2025 last year. And it's the third time the airport has been affected by an incident like this since the war began. And so it's another hit to this image of safety and stability that the UAE has worked so hard to build amidst this volatile region.
That report from the BBC. The war continues to disrupt oil shipping through the Strait of Hormuz and pushing global energy prices higher. This Atlanta motorist is feeling the impact at the gas pump.
I think they're quite expensive right now, especially for $4.30, 87. That's a lot.
President Trump says he may delay his planned China visit at the end of the month as he pressures Beijing to help reopen the Strait of Hormuz. More on these stories at townhall.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now.
800-583-0141.
Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-583-0141. That's 800-583-0141.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Have you ever had great honey? No, I mean really good, all-natural, raw honey? Well, now you can, thanks to localhoneyman.com. We can ship out our locally made honey all across the U.S. So don't worry, you won't miss out. Plus, Local Honeyman has so many different flavors, like Utah Wildflower, High Desert Delight, Happy Valley, and Blackberry, just to name a few. So purchase your delicious raw honey today at localhoneyman.com.
As you are aware, America is divided over every fault line possible. This is intentionally fostered by those who do not love God, family, or country. We believe a peaceful future as a free people absolutely depends on civility. Clarion Call for Civility is looking for funding and volunteers at every level to make our hopes and efforts a reality. Please donate, sign our pledge, and help us in our sacred cause. Please visit callforcivility.com for more details. Callforcivility.com.
As a parent, is receiving a faith-based, character-focused education for your children difficult to find? Do you believe that godly principles should be a central component in your child's education? Imagine a school where faith and integrity are at its center, where heritage and responsibility instill character. For over 40 years, American Heritage School has been educating both hearts and minds, bringing out academic excellence. This is the school where character and embracing the providence of a living God are fundamental, where students' national test scores average near the 90th percentile. With American Heritage School's advanced distance education program, distance is no longer an issue. With an accredited LDS-oriented curriculum from kindergarten through 12th grade, your children can attend from anywhere in the world. American Heritage School will prepare your child for more than a job. It will prepare them for life. To learn more, visit american-heritage.org. That's american-heritage.org.
All right, we're talking about this chilling statement from FCC Chairman Brandon Carr, along with President Trump, that, hey, you better not report fake news, because if you do, hey, we're going to put your license in jeopardy, TV and radio stations. That's a big concern, and I'm wondering if I report this, if my license will be in jeopardy. Oh, yeah, I'm doing podcasts now, and I'm online, and I don't have licenses you can take away. That's good news. But the bad news is maybe I'll be deplatformed, huh? Your free speech rights under both sides and both administrations has been under attack for quite some time, folks, and it's getting worse, not better. So I'm highlighting this example of this Marine that doesn't want to die for Israel. He doesn't want to go to Iran. He doesn't, okay? But we've got over 50,000 people in the region and growing by the day. Trump now warning, if we don't get the Straits of Hormuz squared away quickly, we're going to be in serious trouble. It's a bad future, he says, telling other nations this. Well, on camera, Brian McGinnis, he got dragged out of a U.S. Senate hearing. They broke his arm in the process. Check out this video, then we'll talk about it.
Stand up as a Marine and stand up for America. No one wants to fight for Israel.
Why are you here? Why are you getting arrested?
Free Palestine, from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. Palestine will be free.
Oh my God, they broke his arm. Oh man.
We just witnessed a Marine veteran interrupting the hearing, and they broke his arm.
Why did he interfere?
Because there is a war in Iran, and our military brothers and sisters are going to die for Israel, and we are here to say no. We do not support Israel. We do not want to die for Israel. Stop the war in Iran right now.
And what did they do to him?
They pulled him out, got his arm trapped in a door, broke his arm, tackled him to the ground. It was a very, very intense situation.
America does not want to fight this war in Iran, and the soldiers don't, right, Brian?
No, they don't. Americans don't want to send their sons and daughters to fight in Iran. We're fighting for Israel. We're not fighting for the U.S. Stand up as a Marine.
All right, there we go. Let's go ahead and stop this. All I can tell you is this is the thing. Whether you agree with Brian McGinnis or not, does this protester, this U.S. Marine veteran, he was a Green Party U.S. senatorial candidate from North Carolina. During the hearing, he stood up and shouted statements. America does not want to send its sons and daughters to war for Israel. No one wants to die for Israel. U.S. Capitol Police attempted to remove him. Senator Tim Sheehy of Montana also helped move him out of the room. McGinnis resisted, grabbed the door. They broke his arm. He was arrested and charged with resisting arrest, assaulting officers, and an unlawful demonstration. Now, you can disagree with this vet. I don't know that I agree with him. For example, I'm not yelling, go Palestine by any stretch. I'm not for Palestine and I'm not for Israel. You know what I'm for? I'm for peace. I'm for America. And I disagree with President Trump on what America first means. I believe America first means we stand with the founding fathers, that we avoid foreign entanglements. But here's the real question. Is that fake news if I tell you this? Is it fake news for me to show you this clip? The mainstream press doesn't show you this clip. Why? Because it makes you realize that what percent of the military does not want to go to war in Iran? What percent of the military believes that it's an effort to protect and promote Israel? I don't know, but I know this. Most Marines and most military men and women will not stand up and say a word. Why? Because they might get court-martialed. They might get a dishonorable discharge. We're willing to report it on Liberty Roundtable Live because it's important to see all sides of this thing. Okay, I'm willing to say that I respect Donald Trump. I pray that he's right, that we can get this squared away soon, stop terrorism, and have peace in the world. When I read the Bible, I don't see that we're going to have peace anytime soon, though. Wars and rumors of wars, and that seems to be the future for us. But I still can stand for peace. I still can pray for peace. I pray for Donald Trump that he'll make wise, safe, secure decisions for the country. I pray for our members of Congress on both sides of the aisle, the House and the Senate, that they can find a way to promote peace. I believe the Founding Fathers' teachings to avoid the foreign entanglements and the promise in the Bible that if we turn to God and repent, and he'll heal our land and protect us. I believe that. I believe we ought to go to religious leaders and ask religious leaders to turn to God and try to get answers for us. I believe God, he's the author of our liberty, and he can be the author of our protection too if we turn to him. Anyway, that's just my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. But I want to make sure, is that fake news for me to tell you all that? I don't think so. I think it's news that Americans need to hear. I think hearing about Brian's example is really important. How many Marines does Brian represent? Remember, we're sending, 5,000 more? We've already got 50,000 plus military people in the region. We're sending 3 more warships and all this stuff and looking for escorts, asking other nations to participate. This is escalating, not de-escalating, folks. Now, whether you agree with it or not is beside the point. The fact is it's escalating. Well, Trump's saying that we already won, that we're going to be out in a week or so, or 2. Well, he's not really saying that now. He just said that a couple of weeks ago, see? What's the real truth? How much does he know? Does he just tell us this and then the narrative changes and he expects us to go along with the new narrative every time he changes the narrative? All right, there you have it. I don't want to dwell on this, but I did want to really highlight this. Things that the mainstream press are not showing you and telling you. Gas prices now. We're told that they're going to go down pretty quick. Well, we were told they were going down before they went up, right? And now, as far as I understand, Donald Trump administration officials are saying, hey, it's going to take a long time for gas prices to come down. And as you know, during the summer months, gas prices go up. So I don't think we're going to see lower gas prices anytime soon. Is that fake news for me to predict that? I mean, Trump said gas prices were going down. He was predicting were going to go down. Now I'm predicting they were going to go up, or they're going to stay high. What's the difference? His predictions are okay. My predictions are fake news. Is that how it is in America now? I pray not. All right, there's a term, and I've never seen this before. I don't even understand it, but it's psychotic. Have you ever heard of the term looks maxing? That's right, looks maxing. You got young men now that want to become the perfect male specimen. I kid you not. They need their legs longer, their arms longer, or shorter if they're super tall. They need to make their face, their bone structure, their jaw lines just perfect. It's called looks maxing. It's a looks maxing craze. It raises alarms as young men, I guess, are chasing the, quote, internet beauty ideals. It's an online trend now called looks maxing, and it's spreading across social media, encouraging young men to obsessively pursue physical perfections. These actions are, I guess, promoted by social influencers. Health experts are warning that the movement can fuel body dysmorphia and dangerous behavior, while at the same time promoting the false idea that, hey, great relationships and getting a pretty chick depends basically on appearance. It's not really the truth. Okay? I think appearance matters. You want to make sure you look the best you can. You know, you want to comb your hair and cut your hair and shave or have a trim. If you have a beard or a mustache, no problem. But it should be trimmed and cared for. You want people to see you as someone who takes care of yourself. That you're, you know, hygiene matters and all that stuff. But you don't have to be the perfect looking guy or girl to get someone. You don't. And so this strange trend, looks maxing, I mean, you got men literally breaking their bones in their faces so that they can try to get a stronger looking jawline, or so that they can change the way their nose looks or their eyes. You know, I brought this up to my wife and she's like, why don't they just get plastic surgery? And my response is, because it's expensive. And like the country song says, why do you get scars? Because the chicks dig it. It's kind of that idea. I reject the idea entirely. I don't really like that at all, because I kind of feel like, hey, the Lord made you a certain way. I think it's important to be happy the way the Lord made you. Now, that doesn't get me wrong. You should do your best for hygiene. You should cut your hair, trim your nails, do all the things that are, and it's good to want to exercise and improve your physique. But there's a line when you cross it that I believe we're going down the wrong idea. This idea that, number one, you got to looks max to get a girl or to get a guy or to, bogus. I'll tell you what you should do if you really want to get a spouse. You should try to become the best person that you can be in every way. But trust in God for that as you work at it daily to become more and more like Jesus Christ. You don't need to go ahead and looks max and beat yourself up and break your bones and do psychotic, crazy things. Reject that, would you please, my fellow Americans? All right, more in seconds. You're watching Liberty Roundtable Live.
Introducing Managed IT Services from NPI. We offer top-notch data backup and recovery, email spam protection, and network security tailored to your needs and budget. With 20-plus years of experience in the medical field, our HIPAA-certified consultants know what it takes to protect sensitive information. Don't settle for less. Give us a call at 801-706-6980 and experience the difference with Managed IT Services. Remember, your IT support should be fast, efficient, and reliable.
Introducing PrepStartsNow.com, your ultimate guide to readiness and peace of mind. We offer practical preparedness tools, training, and education to take your family's household readiness to the next level. Browse the prep shop for essential products, check out our planning guides, and stay informed with our prep blog. Visit PrepStartsNow.com and subscribe to our emails for exclusive offers, new products, and future events. Remember, preparedness begins with PrepStartsNow.com.
Scott Bradley here. Most Americans are painfully aware that the nation is on the wrong track and in dire straits. Unfortunately, most political pundits only nibble around the edges when they claim to address the issues. Even worse, many of the so-called solutions are simply rewarmed servings of what got us into the mess we currently face. And the politicians think we're so gullible and naive that we'll buy their lies that they have reformed and now understand where they led us astray. Unfortunately, the truth of the matter is that they simply wish to continue to hold power. The solution to America's challenges is found in returning to the timeless principles found in the United States Constitution. My book and lecture series will reawaken in Americans an understanding and love of the principles which made this nation the freest, most prosperous, happiest, and most respected nation on earth. Visit topreservethenation.com and order my book and lectures to begin the restoration of this great nation.
All right, speaking of shutting people down, it's not only a government thing where people are getting shut down, kicked off, deplatformed, losing their licenses over, quote, fake news and all this kind of stuff. I'm a real First Amendment supporter, ladies and gentlemen. What that means is, unless you promote something illegal, or unless you do something that get violations by the FCC, I don't mean the new Brendan Carr discussions. I mean real violations, like you talk about sexual topics in very weird ways or salacious ways, or you do illegal things. That's where I think you don't have a right to a First Amendment. You don't have the right to promote pornographic stuff. You don't have the right to promote illegal things. There's lines, guidelines that relate to your First Amendment. But as long as you don't violate those, I really believe that people should be able to say anything they want to say, show anything they want to show. And there's limits to that, but I think we need to be really careful when we dissent or shut down, I should say, dissenting opinions. Well, anyway, there's a gentleman. His name is James Fishback. He's a Florida gubernatorial candidate, okay? Because Ron DeSantis can't run again. I guess he's term limited out. He stated that Waffle House banned him from its locations statewide. James Fishback says that Waffle House banned him statewide. Here's the deal. He made the ban public, or highlighted this, after announcing in January, he was on the Tucker Carlson show, and he said, I'm going to use Waffle Houses across Florida as my campaign. Everybody loves Waffle House. I'm going to go to all these Waffle Houses and promote my gubernatorial candidacy. And so at first, Waffle House granted him permission. But then the Waffle House revoked it on March the 4th. Okay, before the ban, I guess Fishback had visited several different cities. Madison, St. Pete, Jacksonville, several different places. And in response to the ban now, he says he's going to open what he calls a series of pop-up eateries. He's going to call them Fishback Waffle Home. That's kind of interesting. Fishback Waffle Home instead of Waffle House, right? The Florida gubernatorial elections, ladies and gentlemen, are big time this year. It's set for November the 3rd, following the August 18th primary. So this is big stuff going on. It'll really be interesting to see what Florida does when they get a new governor. Now, I don't know if you know, but there's 41 candidates running right now. 41 candidates. It's insane over there. Fishback is currently the second favorite for the Republican nomination, trailing behind U.S. Rep. Byron Donalds. So do you want Donalds or Fishback? Now, there's 39 other candidates in addition to that. I don't know how well they'll do, but we'll see. Fishback, I guess, is a former hedge fund manager, and he proposed a financial strategy involving Doge and dividends that would be given from President Trump and Elon Musk to the people. So it's very, very interesting. But Waffle House shutting him down. Now, I get it. Waffle House doesn't want to be involved and pick a candidate because if the candidate doesn't win, etc. But where do we draw the line when it's like, hey, this guy wants to just go to Waffle Houses and talk to the people? I mean, President Trump used McDonald's in the very same way when he was running, right? Yeah, he did. Oh, by the way, speaking of McDonald's, as you know, the economy is struggling. Inflation's like 2+%. And even when they say a target of 2% inflation, think about what that does over time. Inflation is the hidden tax. It's the inflationary hidden tax, folks. But nevertheless, I digress. So this Fishback guy wanted to use Waffle Houses, and at first they said yes, then they said no. Well, President Trump used McDonald's. Remember, he went and worked at McDonald's? And then Kamala Harris said she worked at McDonald's or something like that, and there was no evidence or proof of that at all. Or anyway, weird stuff. Well, now McDonald's is in the news again over economy because McDonald's announced the introduction of the, quote, McValue 2.0 menu. McValue 2.0. It's expected to launch in April, and it's going to feature $3 items and $4 meals, targeting lower-income consumers, says Fox Business. Yeah, that's interesting, because they used to have the dollar menu, remember? So now in the inflationary period that we find ourselves, just a generation ago, it was a dollar menu. Then they got rid of that dollar menu for the most part, and prices were sky high. Going to McDonald's cost as much as going out to eat at a nice sit-down restaurant. And so people are starting to jettison fast food, going, hey, if I'm going to pay that kind of money, I might as well just go to a nice restaurant and enjoy myself, right? Because it's not quite as expensive, but almost. So now McDonald's is saying we got to reposition ourselves. All right? A pop menu poll, and I didn't know what a pop menu poll is, but there you go. It revealed that 68% of U.S. consumers are planning to cut back on restaurants because of inflation. Yeah, they say it's just too expensive, can't go, don't want to do it. It's subpar food. When you paid less, it was worth it. But now that you're paying the same amount, why get subpar food at all? Why not make it at home and or go to a nice restaurant? Well, I pray McDonald's is successful. But I say the fact that they even have a $3 and $4 menu as their new plan, that just shows how inflation has changed. $3 where it used to be $1. $4 where it used to, be what, half that? Just very, very interesting. Okay. I don't go to this place, but it's called Ollie's Bargain Outlet. Or Ollie's, is that, I don't know how to say it. I don't think we have one where I live. But it's called Ollie's Bargain Outlet. They're opening 6 new stores in 5 states by the end of March. They say as they capitalize on former Big Lots locations following Big Lots bankruptcy. The company is leveraging a whole group of shut down retail spaces for its expansion. So in other words, hey, when a company gets shut down, declares bankruptcy, now there's this retail space that's available and they're picking it up at bargain prices. The 6 stores are located, all over. Wisconsin on March 25th. Fort Worth, Texas, March 25th. Arkansas, March 19th. Tennessee, March 19th. Traverse City, Michigan. Tennessee. These openings, they say, will bring the total number of Ollie's locations this year to 15 across 11 states. So they're growing big time, right? And they're growing because, why do these discount companies or these bargain companies grow so fast? Answer, because people are suffering. People don't have the money. People are looking for discounts and bargains everywhere, or they're pulling in their spending and saying, we're just not going to spend. Meanwhile, while you and I suffer in the economy, President Trump's fortune has increased. Let's see. They say $6.5 billion now. That's a rise of 1.4 million within a year. So now his worth is $6.5 billion. Remember when he was running for office, how they debated at first? They said, oh, he's this rich guy. Then they said, oh, he's not really as rich as he pretends to be. And then they said, oh, man, his Mar-a-Lago is overvalued. He lied about it. And now they've dismissed that and said he didn't lie. Okay. It's lifted him to number 645 of the Forbes Global Billionaires list now. I guess he was at a previous ranking of 700 before. Now he's 645. I find that very interesting. I guess it's a rise of 1.4 billion, not million. A rise of 1.4 billion. That's interesting stuff, right? This financial growth is largely attributed to his involvement in the cryptocurrency sector. Through World Liberty Financial, that's his venture with his sons and everything else, it has approved roughly $550 million from token sales. About $200 million more from selling what they call a 49% stake to an investment firm connected to, I don't even know how to say this thing. It's some Chinese thing. Additionally, Trump's assets, including Mar-a-Lago, and his golf courses have also surged in value. And the New York courts canceled this claim that he overvalued Mar-a-Lago and lied. They said he didn't. So it's interesting that they said he didn't. So many years later, after we were told he did. Now that's fake news, right? If he didn't, the courts proved he didn't, but then fake news said he did. But is it really fake news or is it Democrat talking points? Who's responsible? The news people or the politicians? Or the campaigns ran by billions of dollars with investors behind the scenes. Anyway, they say, however, he had a peak net worth of $7.3 billion, and it's gone down a little bit due to declines in cryptocurrencies and Trump media shares. Very, very interesting stuff on that front, right? I mean, you and I are struggling. McDonald's is trying to tempt us with a $3 to $4 menu when it used to be a $1 menu, and Trump's getting richer. But I got good news. Gen Z, ladies and gentlemen, is starting to focus less on social media, and they're starting to pick up old activities like sewing and gardening and all kinds of cool things that the older generation used to do. They're sick of how constant social media addiction makes them feel. That's the good news of the day. Thanks for being alongside for the ride. I'm Sam Bushman, announcing the shorter Liberty Roundtable Live, but it's going to be better, faster, smarter, and positioned to take advantage of the new media taking center stage. Thanks for being alongside for the ride. I'm Sam Bushman. You can find us at libertyroundtable.com, libertynewsradio.com, and of course on YouTube and Rumble and X and everywhere else. God save the Republic of the United States of America.